All right. So as y'all know, finally got my hair pressed out, get it done. Just came home, so I don't have any makeup on or anything like that. Maybe tomorrow. This is late. I'm recording late at night, and this is just a quick recording. I wanted to have a conversation about vocational ed versus college prep. And the reason why I want to have this conversation is because I am an educator. That's my W-2 job. Listen, that's my W-2 job. And I take a lot of pride in that because I am a career educator. So what does that mean? I teach engineering and technology. And I love teaching. A third of our standards is all about soft skills, building that career prep. So coming from an entrepreneurship or business background, I see it from, that perspective, and also working in corporate. I see a lot of mistakes that kids make that they just cannot make in the corporate world. Let's say that, or dealing with customers. Okay. Now, I said that to say because I came out of school, it'll be 30 years next year, right? So 2024, it'll be 30 years to me, June of 1994. And the world then, even though we had that Prince song, Tonight I'm Gonna Party Like It's 1999, we were 5 years away from 1999, so we didn't really know what was in the pipeline. And all of us would be, most of us would be out of college by then, which we were. I graduated in 98 from college. And I didn't really do much research about what I wanted to do. To be truthful, I just, knew that I was going to college because that was something that was, not say pushed on me, but I do come from a family that education is highly regarded. And that comes from my grandfather being a Methodist minister, and he wanted all his grandkids to get their doctorate and this and that. So that was pushed on us, not just grandkids, but I'm his great granddaughter, but his kids, everybody in the family. He, back in the day, that was the way, that was, think about that. Those times when we really didn't have any other options, everybody was leaving out of a rural society, pushing into the city. We're still in the heights of the industrial age. And so everybody was, okay, we know how to do the farm stuff, right? We know how to grow food. We know how to slaughter the pigs. We know how to kill the chickens. We had a good sense of, we were naturally creative, that you had to know how to do things. You had to know how to fix the car because you was rural. You didn't have the computer. You didn't have the internet. You didn't even know how to do a lot. So mind you, when I graduated, we had came up, my parents had went through the civil rights movement, so they could tell us those stories. So we were like a generation removed from that. And we were like, okay, it's time to get it. It's time to get it. And it's like you were looked down on if you didn't go to college. Like, oh, you're not going to college. Like, oh, like you're just going to be the scum of the earth. I mean, that's kind of how it was. And then in the school system, of course, you were highly incentivized to go to college, right? I'm coming from a lens of, I have 4 degrees. So I'm not talking to you like, I'm against college. But one thing I learned when I graduated, number one, I went to school for something I really didn't research. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. Well, first I went for English education. And the reason why I switched my major is because I didn't want to take 4 years of Spanish. We had quarters of Spanish. I was like, oh, let me switch. And so I looked at broadcast journalism, and I only had to do 2 quarters of Spanish. And I was like, okay, I could do that. Because I did not take Spanish in high school. I took Latin. And they said, oh, Latin is connected to all the languages. And I wasn't prepared for going to college and the teacher speaking in Spanish the whole time. Now, mind you, this is before we could go on our phone and do Google Translate. And all we had was a book. All we had was books. We didn't have any, websites that could give you a lot of information. We didn't have that. I'm sorry, I'm playing with my hair with my eye. Something is in my eye. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm saying that to say, when I was in high school, I remember there being 2 tracks. Now, I was in a college prep track. Mind you, I had always been good at school. I've always, graduated, at a high GPA. And I, not only that, but I worked when I was in high school, and I was in performing arts. I was at the school sometimes till 10 o'clock at night, doing plays. And I was also in SGA and 4-H. And I was very involved, like I am now. I'm always busy. Acting in theater, touring. I was doing all that throughout high school. Um, I do remember some other people that went to school with me. They did not have to take as many history classes or math classes or ELA, language arts classes, because they weren't on a college track. So they might have just been, they got a vocational diploma. So they only had to take like so many classes in a certain subject, and then they still could walk. So there were 2 different diploma types that you can choose. I remember that as clear as day. And when the counselors did the counseling sessions and everything. So when I started teaching, I didn't start teaching right after college. I did not want to work in journalism, because the reason why was because I found out that you can't write or report on the stories that you really want to report on because of your advertisers. Your advertisers are paying you. I'm sorry. I'm not used to my hair being in my eyes. The advertisers are paying you. So it's not in your best interest to report negative things against those advertisers, because you're going to lose your check. You're going to lose your money. So companies will forfeit telling you. So like I said, I didn't do my research. I didn't know that. I didn't know took a class and they were talking about propaganda and how things are hidden in advertising and, all those things. So I'm like, oh my gosh, when it was revealed to me, all the things that I did not research before I went to school and I did not know, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. But mind you, I made a decision in my junior year, and I said, well, shoot, I only got 1 more year. I might as well just push through this and go to school and get my education, or just, work and then figure out what I'm going to do next. And so I did that. And I'm saying that because I was 17 when I graduated from high school. I was intellectually capable. I did have a scholarship. I had the Hope Scholarship going. But truthfully, when I was young, 17, I just wanted to get out the house. And I just wanted to have fun. And I really didn't research what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to get away. And so I'm saying that because a lot of times when you're younger, you make grown decisions, but you don't know the repercussions of your actions. Now, I had met some of the best friends of my life, my children's father, who was my ex-husband, and everybody, some key people that I'm still close to and, that I'm still friends with, like sisters and, really close to, when I was in college. So that, more than anything, carried the most weight for me. But I'm saying all this to say, I was naturally inclined to like school. Well, what about the people that don't? So when I started teaching, I worked in corporate for 10 years. So real estate full time. Those are some other stories. But I came back when I was 31 into teaching. I came to, right? And I realized and I didn't teach high school at first. I didn't teach high school to 6 years into public school teaching. I went to middle school. Now, mind you, I went to elementary. It was a K-7 school. I went to high school. When I was in high school, it was 8-12. We did not have middle school. When the place where I went, mind you, my high school, I had to audition to get in it. It was performing arts, so I was in that. We call it pathway now, but that was my track. So when I got back into the school system, I realized that they had gotten rid of the vocational track. They got rid of it. So there was no option anymore, I guess, because of No Child Left Behind. And I do have to do my research on that. I have done a little bit. But I want to say it was the late 90s when they got rid of it, when they started pushing, you got to take a test to get out. When 2004 came and No Child Left Behind, all these policies that came into effect. And I'm talking about this because that, I believe, actually was the axe in the education system. That was the thing that hurt us more than anything. If we look at America now as America, or as compared to America then, we might say, oh, well, we have this and this. But most of the people that are making the most money are not from here. We're importing a lot of people, and I love people from everywhere, so don't look at it as a negative thing. But a lot of people that work in high tech and even in STEM fields, they're not from America. They're not, their parents, let's say that. They may be American, they might have been born on this thing, but their parents weren't. And so what I'm trying to say is the people who were here since birth and their parents are here since birth, we really benefiting from the labors of our ancestors? Has the system changed to keep us mentally and financially enslaved? And I want to bring this point out because I think it starts with everything is connected. I don't believe, that's why I say shackles off TV, because everything is connected. It can't just be, just people tell you focus on one thing, and that's great. And yes, you can make a lot of money being focused on one thing, but you have to know how to connect the dots. Why was vocational ed taken out? And I'm saying, when I say vocational, we still have vocational ed. We still have, we don't call it wood shop anymore. We call it engineering and technology, or we call it construction, or we call it manufacturing. But why were those things, people who just wanted to do those things, why was that not incentivized? Why was college pushed on everybody? No Child Left Behind, I believe, just pushed it on everybody. And knowing that it would, 20, 30 years down the line, and a lot of people said it, would cause a shortage in people wanting to be carpenters, people wanting to be plumbers, people wanting to be general laborers. And now the problem is AI is taking over. And not on the general laborer side, the plumbers, the HVAC techs, the people that work on the electricity, those are pretty good for now. Now there's robots that plan to take their place, but the problem is the people that work in tech. Why do you think Hollywood was striking so long? Anybody ever used any of these AI softwares? I have, and I use it. You don't really need lawyers too much. You don't really need script writers, because AI can do that. And so we're bringing in people from other countries to do stuff, and we've been doing it for a while. But then we're also bringing in people to build houses and to do things that we should have been knowing how to do, but a lot of us don't know how. So should we go back to giving more than one option for graduating from high school?